Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We have the pleasure of interviewing successful business owners to learn from them, their story, their struggles, how they built their business. Today we're fortunate to have a wonderful guest with us, Mr. Eric Alvarez, the owner of Expert HVAC and Refrigeration. Mr. Alvarez, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what is Expert HVAC and Refrigeration?
So, Expert HVAC and Refrigeration is a full-service heating, cooling, ventilation, and refrigeration company. Basically encompasses anything having to do with environmental and process refrigeration. You know, we're kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, for anything HVAC. And so whether it's doing a refrigeration system for your house, whether it's servicing and maintaining those units, doing the same thing on a commercial level, whether it's light commercial or large commercial, all the way up to industrial, you know, 250-ton chillers, process piping, boiler rooms, and then that also carries over to low temp, which you see a lot of low temp applications in restaurants. So, you know, walk-in coolers, walk-in freezers, a lot of the reach-in refrigerators and freezers, and also the hot side. So those commercial ovens and fryers, we pretty much service, install, and work on all those types of applications.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in business?
So Expert has actually been in business for 42 years now. My dad started the business in 1981, and I took over when he retired 12 years ago now. So I've been on my own for about 12 years now.
Wow. How big are you?
So right now we have 25 employees, 17 vehicles running around the city, and it looks like we're poised to grow again this year. You know, the heat just hit us this week, and we're already up to our up to the top of our heads in work. So,
wow.
Yeah, business is good, thank God.
That's great. That's great. and so, so what did you find interesting when you were you grew up in the business, I guess?
I did. Well, I've been around the business my whole life. I was 5 when my dad started it, and so I don't remember too much in my younger years, but I was always around, you know, my dad and the office and warehouse and the guys that he had working, and I was, you know, I was just this little punk kid, I'm sure, to the employees, but I enjoyed being there, and I enjoyed helping out, you know, when I could. But more so, I just learned a lot from listening to my dad, hearing him talk about the business, hearing about the way he handled certain situations, and I think that's probably most what I got out of being around it my whole life.
And your mother also has a business. Yeah,
my mom, well, you know, both of my parents were teachers to start their careers, and ultimately when my dad started Expert, he asked my mom to go and help him as well, and so she was there for a good number of years. Ultimately, I think there was a lot of, you know, there was a lot of back and forth, and my mom finally decided, you know what, I'm going to open my own business and do something else. And she ended up opening a religious store, a Holy Spirit Christian bookstore, and she still has it. It's on the east side, and she opened it up when I started college, and so that was basically my college job.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went here to UTEP?
I did go to UTEP. I graduated with a degree in microbiology, which I'm doing nothing with, but it's funny how things work. When I started college, that was my goal, my intent to go into the medical field. What exactly, I don't know. I mean, you know, there was that, should I be a doctor, should I not? But in working with my mom and growing that business during my years of college to a 5,000 square foot store, I found that I really enjoyed the retail side of business. I enjoyed selling, I enjoyed buying, I enjoyed dealing with customers on a daily basis. And so when I graduated, I told her, I said, you know, I'd really like to just stay in the business and continue to help you and continue to make it grow. And so that's ultimately what I did.
So you grew up in an entrepreneurial family? I
did. My grandparents, my mother's parents owned a shoe store down on Alameda, Boston shoe store.
Yeah. What was their family name?
Bárcena.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's that spirit of business and entrepreneurship. Yeah, it runs in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And what high school did you go to?
I went to Malwood High School.
Good. And you have brothers, sisters?
I have one sister, Tessa. She's 10 years younger than me, and she's in San Antonio. She's a nurse.
Okay. So you had that medical interest in your family.
Yeah. Well, you know, it didn't start like that. She was actually a teacher as well, but you know, she decided she wanted to go this route. She actually just became a nurse a year ago.
Oh, really?
So.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Well, you know, I know your mom and dad. I admire them greatly. Your dad was with us when we started the Minority Business Council of the Greater Chamber, and he and quite a few other guys and women were very strong. We built a very strong organization, and then they went over in '91 and formed the Hispanic Chamber, and so he was very instrumental in that. You mind sharing a little bit about your dad? I know he was a Bowie High graduate.
Yeah, my dad, very passionate about helping the community in the city of El Paso. Very hard worker. He was born and grew up in Juarez, and he talks about that a lot. You know, I think that drove him to succeed like he did. It drove him to want better, you know, for himself and for his kids, but also to want better for his community, and people, you know, that are his Hispanic culture. And so, you know, everything that he did, you know, was aimed at doing that, helping, you know, bring up his family and bring up this community. And yeah, I admire my dad a lot. He grew expert into a household name in the refrigeration industry. And I think it just got to a point, you know, where he was, this industry can be very stressful. And I think it was time for him to kind of just take a step back and kind of start enjoying life a little more.
Well, he got very involved in banking too.
He did. Yeah, they started United Bank. Yeah, he had his hands in so many things. Yeah. And I think that was a little overwhelming at times. My mom definitely didn't like that he was involved in so many things, but
yeah, he was very strong with the Hispanic Chambers that formed with the new bank. He was one of the founders of
Yes, sir.
United Bank. And now what does he do?
So right now he's a teacher at Irvin High School.
Yeah.
He teaches a business and finance course there. He loves it. He loves helping a school with, you know, it's a poor school. He talks about always trying to do what he can to help those kids, and he wants to teach them how to save. He wants to teach them how to invest, because a lot of them just don't know.
Right.
Don't know how, and so he really enjoys what he does, and he also coaches girls golf as well. So a little bit of a passion for him as well.
Yeah. And your mom still runs?
My mom still runs the store. It's going strong. She's doing better than ever, and you know, I think that's her calling too, because she gets a lot of people that need someone to talk to
Sure.
that are going through hard times, and she's perfect for that. So
It's really a ministry for her.
oh yeah, definitely.
That's neat.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're married?
I am married to Raylene. She's yeah, we've been together for 12 years now. Been married about 8.5,
Okay.
and still going strong.
And you have children?
I have children as well. I have 2 children, Xavier 21 and Adrian 19.
And what do they do?
So Xavier, he's actually a student assistant basketball coach for the women's UTEP team.
Okay.
He's actually going to graduate this year, and he's been applying for graduate assistant positions throughout the country, and so hopefully he'll land somewhere good. But he knows basketball. That kid knows basketball. And my daughter, another basketball protege, she's at University of Dallas. She's in her freshman year, and she's on scholarship up there playing basketball. So,
Wow. Were you an athlete?
I played basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, I played basketball, and then I picked up golf after high school.
And now you love golf?
Now I love golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had picked it up sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't ask about your father's name and your mother's name.
Jesse Alvarez and Armida Alvarez.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So you grew up in 2 businesses actually, and you worked in the Christian bookstore for your college years, and after college, right?
Yeah, I actually worked in the bookstore through college, and several years after. It wasn't until around 2002, about 2002, 2003. My dad had actually just started a program, Charge It on Your Gas Bill program. So basically he partnered with Southern Union Gas at the time.
Yeah.
And you could charge a new refrigeration system, a furnace, a water heater on your gas bill. And so it was a good deal for him and the business, obviously. And so business grew. He needed help, and he asked me to come over and start helping him as well, especially on the sales side. And I did. And here in El Paso, if you get involved in HVAC, it kind of just sucks you in.
Wow.
You know, it's just, it's so busy during the spring and summer and fall. It really took a lot of time from me being at the store, but my mom understood, and she knew that my dad, I guess, needed me a little more at that time.
So what did you learn in working with your mom?
I learned how to deal with people. You know, you're dealing with customers every day. And for me, I wasn't, I've never been a huge social talker. I've kind of kept to myself. I'm the guy that usually sits in the corner and just kind of watches and observes. But it helped me to open up and be a little more communicative, learn how to talk to people, and ultimately sell, you know, help people with what they're looking for and whatnot. And then it also helped me to learn business, because, you know, you have to buy and project what, you know, what you're gonna hopefully buy and sell, and you know, you need to be good at numbers, and so it helped me to, I guess, get a little more knowledge when it comes to the business side of things. You know.
So what have you learned from your mom?
You know, my mom has always been very plan oriented. I think if you're gonna, you know, look at my mom and dad, they complemented each other very well, because my dad was the kind of is the kind of person that is very gung ho. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, without really thinking ahead. And I get a lot of that from him, because I think that's one of the reasons why experts continue to grow is I don't shy away from stuff. If something comes up and we're not familiar, or we haven't done it before, we'll figure it out. And so my mom, on the other hand, is very plan-based, and you know, we need to think about what will happen if we do this, and plan for this, and so it's been a good mixture, because I think that's kind of rubbed off on me on both sides, because while wanting to grow, I think I've done it at a more sustainable rate than maybe if I hadn't had that kind of upbringing. So it's been a very good sustained growth, a very step-by-step, if you will, growth.
Yeah. And what have you learned from your dad?
Well, again, you know, hard work, you know, not being afraid to take on stuff that maybe you don't know a lot about, how to deal with a lot of different types of people, you know, all the way from your employees to customers. I'll tell you what, it was quite a culture shock to go from working at a Christian bookstore and gift shop for a good number of years, and that type of clientele, to going to an HVAC company where ultimately, you know, your goal is 100% customer service, but you're dealing with customers that are calling you because they're uncomfortable, and they're upset because of that, and they're upset because they know it's going to cost them a lot of money to fix whatever it is that's making them uncomfortable. And it was quite an adjustment to learn how to deal with those two different types of personalities.
Yeah. So how long did you work with your dad at Expert while he was still there before he stepped aside? Yeah,
so I was with him for about 10 years before he decided to retire. And so I did a lot of the sales for him. And I think towards the end, he's very old school. And of course, here I am, you know, new school, and the technology difference was kind of happening. You know, everything was going to internet. I remember one of our biggest arguments was whether or not we should continue to advertise in the phone book. I mean, that's something that still, you know, stays in my mind a lot. And it was a big argument. And I was like, we have to go internet. I mean, we have to go start advertising on the internet. And he just, you know, didn't want to hear it. But I think that's something that I brought to the company at the right time, was that young energy and that young knowledge as far as what we need to do to catch the next, I guess, generation of customer. And it was perfect timing, I think, because it enabled us to transition.
So did you all prepare a transition to you?
No, it just basically happened. You know, I don't think either one of us really planned a transition, but it happened fluidly. You know, I came in and had a lot of new ideas and new thoughts, and like I said, I think my dad was already at that point where he was, you know, ready. As soon as he saw that I could handle it, that he was ready to start, you know, pushing it more towards me.
Well, I mean, you know, in building that business, you know, he's attached to it. Mm-hmm. He must have had confidence then that you could run it after.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
I mean, when he first decided to step away, yeah, there was a lot of pressure, and I was very anxious. I had a lot of sleepless nights.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
About what, the pressure?
I just didn't want to fail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just didn't want to fail. You know, he had built, like I said, a very well-known name in the community, and of course he was well-known in the community, and so you know, he had big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make sure that everything I did reflected positively.
Yeah. I remember you used to be on Lee Street. Now where are you?
Yeah, so right now I just bought a building a couple years now ago on Stiles, 16,000 square foot building. It's got a couple thousand square feet of offices, but more so what we needed was the warehouse space, and so we got a 14,000 square foot warehouse, a lot of parking. It's just enabled us to do a lot of stuff that was holding us back by not having that
Sure.
space. Yeah.
Sure, sure. And so you come into a business that it's really a family business, but you have your own ideas. And when you had the freedom to carry out your ideas, did you run into any obstacles with the staff?
No, you know, my dad was the hard one. You know,
Even after he left.
Oh yeah, I mean, because he stayed around. A lot of the guys that stayed with me were there when my dad was there, and my dad had an iron fist. We lost guys because of how hard he was on them, but at the same time, the guys that stayed, there was always respect for the way he did things. With that said, I think I kind of molded the way I am with my employees. Because of that, I didn't want to be as hard as he was, because I kind of saw both sides. So yeah, when you talk to some of my guys that are still there, that do know my dad, that have worked, you know, with my dad, yeah, one of the things that they'll always say is, "Oh man, if so and so did that when your dad was, if your dad was here and so and so did that, you know, you're a lot nicer than your dad. You're a lot nicer than your dad." And so, there's a balance somewhere in there, and I'm not sure that I have it right, but you know, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, but you were successful in making that transition happen smooth.
Yeah, I think a lot of my guys are happy where they're at. You know,
and you have long-term employees that been with you.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot. I have quite a few guys that have been with me for a long time, and you know, I appreciate their loyalty. I appreciate their hard work, and I try and show them, you know, that appreciation. One thing I tell all my guys, especially, you know, from the minute I hire them, is we're all adults. You know, I'm hiring you to do a job. I'm paying you to do a job. You know what I expect, and you know, I'm not gonna micromanage you. I'm not gonna talk to you like a kid. You know, you do what you got to do for what you were hired to do.
So how'd you come to decide not to micromanage?
Well, with the goal of growing, I think part of it stemmed from the anxiousness I had when I first took over, and you know, I couldn't be at all places at all times. I couldn't do everything by myself, and so I, you know, really focused and dedicated those early years to hiring and expecting a core group of people to do things to make my life easier, to do things to enable me to go out and do other things.
So where'd you learn that?
You know, I can't say that I learned it from anything or anyone in particular. I guess it was just intuitive. But I just knew that if I wanted to grow, that I couldn't do it by myself.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to this point, it's been a good thing. I have a good group of employees, especially my core, you know, that they know what they expect, they know what I expect, and I give them the tools to do it.
So you delegate and you hold people accountable.
Exactly.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. So what principles did you come in with that were very different?
You know, going back to working with my dad was always focused on high quality, whatever it was that he was doing, whatever it was that we sold. And that always stuck with me. It didn't matter, especially living in a border town, especially living, because we're in a border town. For some reason, there are just a lot of companies that like to cut corners. There are a lot of companies that are here one day and gone the other. There are a lot of companies that just like to cut prices and then add after the fact. And I never wanted to be that company. I wanted to be a company that provided high quality service, high quality installation, high quality equipment, and before and after provide high quality customer service. And I kind of looked at it from the point of view, if I was the customer, what would I want? And so when I go in and I talk to customers, when I go in and talk to potential customers, it's always with that point of view, what would I want as the end user? What would I want as that customer? And so I think that makes ultimately a lot of my customers very comfortable in doing business with us, because they know I'm going in with the mindset of, if this was my house, what would I do?
Right.
So
we've been learning that Mr. Alvarez grew up in the business with his father, who started the business in
1981.
1981. And then his mother has a bookstore, the Holy Spirit bookstore.
Holy Spirit.
And you worked there through college and after college.
Correct.
So then you worked for your dad for 10 years, and he retired and went into school teaching. And both your parents were school teachers before.
They were.
And your sister was a school teacher, I guess, and now she's a nurse?
Yeah, so she was actually a teacher, an English teacher in Japan.
In Japan, really?
In Japan, yeah. And ultimately her and her husband ended up moving back. They're in San Antonio now. She was teetering whether or not she should be a teacher here, and she decided to go to nursing school, and yeah, now she's a nurse.
Interesting. Yeah, fortunately I have my son visiting this week. He teaches English in Korea. He's been there 10 years teaching English. So
there
interesting.
Yeah, same thing.
But you know, the interesting about your company, Expert Refrigeration, is I knew your dad. I was sure I knew your dad and your mother. Admire them greatly, especially when your dad helped us build a minority business council that became later became the Hispanic Chamber. So he's been involved. Then he started. He was part of the foundation of United Bank. So he has a long business history. So you know, when you came into the business, that intense activity with all the community that he had, how did that fall on your shoulders?
You know, he made the transition really easy.
Okay.
The name was there, the clientele, the base clientele was there. He had kind of shifted away from doing a lot of the service and low temp side of the business, and focused more on the residential system replacement and conversion industry. So when he decided to move on, I really wanted to bring back and focus a lot more on the service side, get back into a lot of the commercial applications, something that would keep us busy year round, because the weather here, it's El Paso's so seasonal. And so, you know, for cooling purposes, spring, summer, fall, great, but winter is a virtual no man's land for HVAC. I needed something to keep us busy year round. And so I went after the commercial side a lot more, built that up, and at the same time really focused on doing a lot more on the residential side in terms of giving many different options, many different services that all kind of tie into heating and cooling. So, you know, now we do duct cleaning, now we do air purification systems, we do humidifiers, dehumidifiers, pretty much anything having to do with the air quality in your home or in your business. We can pretty much handle all of that.
And your son is in sports?
So he is a student coach for the women's basketball team at UTEP. He wants to be a Division I coach, and so that's his goal, that's his desire, and so he's on the right path. And my daughter, she is a freshman at the University of Dallas. She's on a basketball scholarship, and she wants to, believe it or not, open up an expert HVAC and refrigeration in Dallas. So,
okay, so there is a continuation transition.
There is, you know, it's easier said than done, but that's her goal. So,
she's not afraid of the business.
No, she's not, and she's actually worked with me, you know, over these last several years during the summers and whatnot, and she enjoys it. I think she enjoys being the mini boss more so than anything.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see.
And your wife?
She's actually a case manager, office manager for a personal injury attorney here locally, Glasheen, Valles, and Inderman.
Oh, okay.
She's been with them for about 10 years now, actually a little more than 10 years, but helps a lot of people that have been in bad accidents. So.
Wow. So what is unique about expert HVAC and refrigeration?
Well, we are we are one-stop shop for everything. There are a lot of companies here in El Paso that are solely focused on installation with no service side to back that up. There are a lot of companies here that are very service oriented, but maybe not so much installation oriented. There are a lot of companies here that maybe focus only on service of refrigeration systems, but not service of low temp refrigeration. And so we're a one-stop shop for anything. So, you know, I tell my customers, you can feel very comfortable and confident that you're dealing with a company that has the expertise and the support to handle whatever you throw at them. We focus on high quality service and equipment. We focus on customer service before and after the sale. I tell my customers, when I sell you a unit, I want you to be so happy with what we provide you and the service that we provide you that in 15, 20 years when that unit's not working anymore, that it's a no-brainer, that you're going to pick up the phone and call me and say, Eric, it's time to put in another one. So.
It's not a quick return.
Exactly.
But it's
exactly.
long-term. How many HVAC techs do you have?
So right now I have 25 employees. That consists of 4 office personnel, and that would leave 21 installer/service employees.
Yeah. Notice your logo is a polar bear.
Yes, sir.
How did that come about?
Well, my dad's a Bowie bear.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, my dad's a Bowie bear, and so the bear was a no-brainer for him. I think getting into refrigeration, obviously the polar bear became a no-brainer for him, and so it's been his logo since he started, and I've kind of tweaked it over the years, and I was a little nervous when I decided to tweak it because he had had his logo for so long, and that was kind of one of the first things I did when I took over the business was you know, I just wanted to bring a little more, I guess, pizzazz to the logo and update it and make it more, I guess, customer friendly. If yeah.
So let me ask you a question. I know your mother's Almida,
Mm-hmm.
and your father is Jesse. But you worked with your mother's bookstore, Christian bookstore, before you got into the HVAC business. Did you bring anything over, any principles, ideas from the bookstore into the refrigeration business?
Yeah, so being in that environment, my mom's very religious, God-fearing woman. Being in that environment, you know, you just wanted to always do people right. I miss that environment from a peace and calming standpoint, because the HVAC industry can get pretty stressful and hectic. But you know, it kind of has helped me to take things as they come, you know, and not really stress out. Know that at the end of the day, everything's going to work out and everything's going to turn out for the better. But it's helped me to be that way with my customers. It's helped me to be that person and be that kind of business for my customers. A business that wants to give them, you know, something that they can be proud of. That wants to sell them something that they know is going to last a long time and that was done correctly.
So what's your purpose?
That's a good question. You know, I didn't get into this business with a purpose other than, you know, obviously wanting to succeed and wanting to provide for my family. But I feel like it's kind of morphed into a business that I'm proud of, for the fact that that I know at the end of the day that customer is going to be taken care of. You know, being here in El Paso, and truth be told, I deal with a lot of customers that have been on the short end of the stick, that have been taken advantage of.
Sure.
And you know, we're left to clean up a lot of other people's messes. And so I feel like, you know, if I can do that for my customer, that's one less thing for them to have to worry about in such a crazy world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still want to grow.
I still want to grow, yeah.
So what challenges are there ahead of you?
I think that's sustainability. You know, I'm not getting any younger. And so I think as you continue to grow older, you probably have less and less patience. And so, you know, how much do I want to grow? I'm not sure yet, but I do know that I still want to keep growing. I still have that urge and desire. But, you know, again, because of I think my mom's upbringing, it's got to be planned and sustained. And so, you know, it's just got to be baby steps. It's got to be baby steps, and you know, we'll take it as it comes.
We're just hopefully we're coming out of this COVID crisis for the past couple of years. What did that do for your business?
You know, COVID was great for Expert, and I say that with a heavy heart because I know it was hard on a lot of people. But with so many people having to stay home, I think a lot of people realized what they had was probably not what they needed. And so we did a lot of a lot of home conversions and replacements over the last couple years. On the commercial side, I think a lot of the monies that some of these small businesses got enabled them to upgrade facilities and position themselves, you know, to be in a better state after COVID, and a lot of these companies used that money to upgrade their systems or to add systems or convert. So it was good for us.
And you also did a lot of air purification business systems?
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, are still kind of antsy. And so we do sell a lot of air purification systems. I'm kind of surprised that the government and both federal, local, that they don't really focus on that they don't push that a lot more than they should. But we do a lot of air purification systems.
And they work.
Oh yeah, I mean, these units that are sold and installed, you know, within the air systems that service homes and commercial businesses, they have to be tested. They have to be approved. You know, if they didn't, anybody could just come out and claim, you know, that their snake oil works. But no, these actually have to be tested and approved. So
the industry is changing too. You, as we were sharing earlier, you took over from your father, and you had more technology savvy. As young people today, something I notice a lot. And so, but the industry is changing too. So how are you keeping up with the industry?
Well, first and foremost, you have to embrace it, because things are going to change whether you like it or not. And I'm getting to that age where I'm starting to see, you know, stuff that my son and my daughter are doing that I'm just like, oh, that's like way too complicated. That's I don't want to deal with that. But you know, I think that's human nature, and so you just have to embrace that change. And we advertise, you know, we've changed the way that we advertise. We do a lot of advertising on social media now. We do a lot of advertising online with Google. We do a lot of advertising on not so much local television or cable anymore. Now it's, you know, Netflix and Hulu, and you know, a lot of stuff that a lot of the younger generation are more apt to watch and follow. And then also technology-wise, you know, just keeping up and trying to stay knowledgeable about the new equipment and the new features that equipment offers to my customers, that will set us apart. Because we do, Expert actually focuses on high efficiency systems, units that really their focus is to keep your utility costs down, but to provide maximum comfort. And so because of that, the technology is a lot more complicated than some of the more basic systems. And so because of that, you know, you have to have the right personnel to be able to handle that type of installation and service. You have to have the right salespeople that know and understand what they're selling. And you have to have a good distributor that can handle those types of needs for you. And so that's something that we've kind of separated ourselves from a lot of other companies here locally, in that we offer that type of.
Yeah. Are you brand specific?
So we're Amana dealers, and I love Amana. Amana's actually gone through a lot of changes over the year, but more recently they were bought by Daikin. And if you're not familiar with Daikin, Daikin is the worldwide leader in refrigeration. It's a huge company. Amana's actually based out of Houston. Huge facility, state of the art, and customer service. They take care of me the way I expect Expert to take care of my customers. And so it works hand in hand.
How do you maintain your relationships with your providers, your suppliers?
You know, it's all relationships. You know, they have to see what kind of person you are, and they have to trust that when you're buying a ton of equipment from you, that you're going to pay it. Yeah. And so you build up that trust, and you build up that relationship, and so they know I'm going to buy a lot, and they know I'm going to pay it, and you know that they in turn take care of us.
So coming into the business that your father had opened up and begun, and then he was in banking, so I kind of assume that I guess you've never had any issues with financing.
No, no. On the contrary, I've never been a fan of credit. Not to say that I haven't had to use it, you know, more so recently, you know, to help grow. But I don't like owing people money, and so I think that goes back to that sustainable growth. Is okay. Well, if I can't take care of it myself, I don't want to put myself in a position that I'm behind the eight ball. And so yeah, that comes with its own set of I guess problems, because you can't do as much as you'd like sometimes, but it also, you know, forces you to do things a certain way and prepare and plan, and so it's been a good mixture.
So how much does your business reflect you?
I think it reflects me quite well. I love hearing my employees saying that they enjoy where they work. I love hearing my customers be 100% satisfied. I love having customers, like I said, 15 years to the day, calling and saying, you guys took care of us so well, it's time for us to upgrade, and you're the people that we're calling. I love dealing with my suppliers and my vendors because they're always happy to hear from me. And so I think that's a testament to what we're building, you know, and what we've built.
Have you ever made some mistakes in the business?
Oh, I'm sure I have. You know, a lot of times I'm called a softie, and I probably get that from my mom more so. But again, I saw how hard my dad was, and I might have overcompensated because of that. And so, you know, I think I've learned over the past several years to maybe start being a little harder or a little more holding people accountable. Mm-hmm. Because I think I was a little soft when I first took over, when I first transitioned into ownership.
So what's your message about business?
You can't please everybody. And what I mean by that is, if you want to provide quality service and quality product, it comes at a cost. And I always tell people I'm not the cheapest. I'm definitely not going to be the cheapest. But nobody's going to do a better job.
Wow.
If you have issues, I'm going to be here to take care of it for you. I'm not going anywhere. And that's ultimately my advice to other people, regardless of what business or industry it is. You need to charge for what you want to provide. not what they want to pay, what you want to provide, because ultimately, if you can't make a living and cover, expenses and overhead for what you want to provide those people, then what's the point? And I don't want to be perceived as cheap. I don't want to be perceived as fly by night. I want to be perceived as high quality, high customer service, here when you need me, and
Sure.
and that's what we've built. So,
How do you balance business and family life?
It's been a lot easier to do over these last several years because I've gotten good at
Delegating out?
Yes, thank you. I was at a loss for words. I've gotten a lot better at delegating certain processes and procedures, and so that's made it really easy to get up and go as I need to.
And you're an avid golfer.
I love to golf. Yeah. Sometimes my wife says it's too much, but that's my stress reliever.
But you built a business that allows you to go and...
Yes, sir. Yeah, definitely. That was one of my main focuses, especially these last several years, is getting everything automated, getting everything paperless, making it very easy to dispatch and invoice whether or not my girls were in the office. They could do it from home. They could do it on their phone. My guys can do everything from their phone. We've done as much as we can to make the whole process easy for them, and ultimately that makes it easy on me. So.
And you know your numbers.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. You review your numbers pretty well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yes, sir.
So are you where you want to be as a person in your life?
Are you talking business-wise?
Yeah.
Or? No, I think I'm at that. I think I'm at the phase of business where, while I would still like to grow, I do need to focus more on. I do need to focus more on. You really got me there. I'm not sure what I know I'm not where I want to be yet, but
you're very quality service oriented.
Yeah.
So how do you grow that? Because that's your intent.
I guess really the only way to grow is really to be able to offer this type of service and install more units. I just year after year it seems like we hire a couple more guys and add another truck or two, and man, it's crazy how having so many trucks can be such a headache.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I foresaw,
Okay.
12 years ago.
Sure.
I think 12 years ago when I took over, we had 5 vehicles, and now we have 16.
Wow.
And I'm in the process of getting a couple more, and it's just that's a headache all on its own.
But it's steady growth.
Yeah.
Steady growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Alvarez, I really appreciate your sharing your story. It's a wonderful story. Admire your family, and I learned a lot about expert HVAC and refrigeration, and I trust our viewers did too, and come to understand what it is to grow and build a business. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for viewing. Have a wonderful day and stay tuned for more of Hispanic Biz success stories. Have a good day and thank you for watching.